Hello everyone and welcome to another Monday edition of the Sports Report. I'm your host Aaron Gonders. It might be dead week for the students here at OSU, but someone didn't tell the athletes that. There were sports going on all weekend here in Stillwater as a part of the Orange Power Weekend. Baseball was in action against top Big 12 competition, softball had a home series against nationally ranked Texas, and the OSU spring finale also went down over the weekend. To cap the show, I'll take you through what I believe to be the most important NBA playoff action. So, without any further ado, let's get into today's episode of the Sports Report. We'll start the show today with a trip out to O'Brate Stadium where the Cowboys squared up against the number 10 ranked TCU Horned Frogs. Game 1 went as well as anyone could have asked for the Cowboys. 13 runs on 17 hits were complemented by an absolute gem of a game by pitcher Justin Campbell. Campbell almost went the complete game, ending with 8 innings and 14 strikeouts. Campbell also only allowed 3 hits from TCU on the day, so that's something to note as well. On the offensive end, the Cowboys were led by Nolan McLean, who went out and hit 4 for 5 with 4 RBIs, including this massive 3-run shot to center in the 3rd inning. Griffin Doersching also continued his hot hitting by adding in a solo home run of his own. This one was a boat race, ending 13-2. The rest of the series didn't go quite as planned from there, though. Games 2 and 3 were tightly contested, but the Cowboys couldn't win the series. Game 2 saw the Cowboys fall behind 6-1 in the 3rd inning, but a Cowboy comeback bid cut that lead to 2 runs by the end of the 6th inning. Phenomenal pitching down the stretch kept the Horned Frogs' lead alive to snag the win in that one by a score of 6-4. Game 3 was much more dramatic. The Cowboys fell behind early in this one too, but actually held a lead going into the 6th before TCU would score 4 runs from the 6th through the 9th. Going into the bottom of the 9th, the Cowboys were down 7-4, but some timely hitting by Jake Thompson and heads-up base running on a wild pitch cut the lead to 1 before the Cowboys' momentum slipped away, dropping the rubber match there 7-6. The Cowboys are on the road Tuesday to wrap up their season series against Wichita State before taking the fight to another Big 12 powerhouse in the Texas Longhorns over the weekend. Speaking of the Longhorns, softball broke out the brooms again for another sweep in Big 12 play. This series was tightly contested throughout. Neither team scored more than 3 runs in a game, and the Cowgirls hit that mark twice. In Game 1, Kelly Maxwell shined again from the circle, throwing 10 strikeouts against the 16th ranked team in the country. Home runs were the story of the first game in this series because every run scored by both teams came off of a home run. Kelly Carwile had this one go straight to the left center party deck and scored Brianna Evans in the process. Julia Cottrell walked it off in the 9th with this shot to the left center party deck, just like her teammate. In Game 2, it was the Miranda Ellis show. Ellis popped off in this one, both from the plate and in the circle. In the 3rd inning, she hit this bomb to dead center to score Kylie Naomi and put the Cowgirls up 3-0. Eilish also struck out 10 Longhorn batters in 6 and 2/3 innings before having to hand the ball off to Kelly Maxwell due to an injury to her throwing arm. Maxwell got the final out, and the Horns were shut out in that one, 3-0. Game 3 was more of the same. Morgan Day got the start over Maxwell with Ellis injured, and she threw a nice game overall. Day struck out 4 and allowed 8 hits, but only allowed 1 run on the day. Kelly Maxwell finished the job over the last 2 innings. Julia Cottrell got the scoring started with this drive to right, and then in the bottom of the 3rd, Brianna Evans was caught stealing second, but the ensuing chaos allowed Chelsea Alexander to score, leaving it at the would-be final score of 2-1. The Cowgirls are off until Thursday when they will go down to Tallahassee for a 3-game series against the 4th-ranked Florida State Seminoles. Now, to talk some football real quick since the spring finale was this weekend. The Cowboys ended their spring practices over the weekend with an open practice. Injuries all along the offensive line forced head coach Mike Gundy to make the decision to not have a traditional spring game. This spring finale for the Cowboys was nonetheless pivotal, as they are adjusting to a new defense under Derek Mason and replacing multiple starters on that side of the ball. Offensively, they have to establish a new starter in the running back room following the departure of Jaylen Warren to the NFL, along with some offensive line depth, given the injury issues prior to this weekend. And now, I'll take you to the hardwood to discuss the two most important things that happened in the NBA playoffs over the weekend. First off, the New Orleans Pelicans have evened the series against the Phoenix Suns as of last night. Without Devin Booker, the Suns have looked vulnerable so far in the series, and he likely isn't going to be back after suffering an injury in Game 2. The Pelicans ended up winning that one after a huge effort from Brandon Ingram. Ingram was instrumental in Game 4 as well, becoming the first player in Pelicans history to score 30 points in 3 consecutive games. The series goes back to Phoenix for Game 5 on Tuesday, and the other series I wanted to look at is by far the weirdest. As I mentioned last week, the Minnesota Timberwolves may or may not have benefited from some vibes sent their way from animal rights group Direct Action Everywhere. Those protests only took place during the play-in tournament and Game 1 of the first round, though. It seems that they didn't need much of that help after all. The Timberwolves have hung tough with the second-seeded Memphis Grizzlies, taking Game 4 in Minneapolis on the back of a massive game by Karl Anthony Towns. Cat had a bad Game 3, only putting up 8 points and 5 rebounds, but he recovered to put up an absolute show. Towns put 33 points on the board and 14 rebounds, and the Timberwolves also got a big game out of Anthony Edwards with 24 points. A 1-point victory for Minnesota sends the tied series back to Memphis for Game 5 on Tuesday. And that about does it for today's show. Don't forget to tune in the rest of this week for more episodes of the Sports Report. Once again, I'm Aaron Gonders, and I will see you all again next time.